You think road trips are fun, freedom, adventure, and endless highways? But what if I told you that some roads aren't meant to be traveled? And some abandoned houses hide secrets that will haunt you forever. The weekend started like any other, for friends, one van, and a map full of possibilities. Sam, the driver, laughed as he checked the tires for the 5th time. Relax, we're not driving through a horror movie, he joked. Lena, the planner, double-checked the route on her tablet. We're going through old towns, forests, and yes, abandoned houses. It'll be fun. Mike and Jess, the twins, were already debating which playlist would soundtrack their trip. Something creepy, of course, Jess said, smirking. Yeah, if we survive, maybe it'll be a story to tell, Mike replied. The excitement in the van was palpable. Laughter echoed, snacks were passed around, and the highway stretched endlessly ahead, a promise of freedom. By the first hour, the city was behind them. The air on the highway felt heavier. The forest hugged both sides of the road, shadows stretching across the asphalt like fingers. Lena spoke up. Do you guys feel that? Like, someone's watching? Mike laughed it off. It's just your imagination. Focus on the road. But even Sam felt it, the uneasy sensation that eyes were hidden somewhere in the darkness. The first strange encounter came quickly. A figure appeared in the rearview mirror. At first, it looked like a hitchhiker, tall, thin, wearing a dark coat. As the van approached, the figure seemed to move unnaturally fast, always keeping pace with them. Jess screamed. Mike hit the brakes. The van skidded slightly on the cracked asphalt. And then, the figure vanished. No footprints. No trace. Nothing. Silence fell inside the van. Lena whispered, Maybe it's a ghost. Sam shook his head, trying to calm everyone. Probably someone messing with us. Let's just focus on the first stop. They approached the first abandoned house, a crumbling Victorian on the outskirts of a small town. Windows boarded, doors hanging off hinges, graffiti across the walls. The forest seemed to lean closer, as if trying to swallow the house whole. Mike turned on the flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness, illuminating broken furniture, shattered glass, and a front porch that creaked with every gust of wind. This place isn't abandoned. Something is still here, Lena said, eyes wide. They spent a few minutes taking pictures, trying to convince themselves they were just exploring. But the further they walked, the heavier the feeling became, the sense that someone or something was watching. Shadows moved unnaturally across the walls, whispers floated on the wind, and the air grew colder with each step. Jess froze. I thought I heard footsteps behind us, she whispered. Mike shone his flashlight toward the back porch. Nothing. Yet the feeling persisted. A subtle vibration ran through the floorboards, almost like the house itself was alive, breathing, observing. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed inside. The friends jumped, huddling together. Sam tried to laugh it off, but even his voice shook. It's just the wind, probably a branch. But the sound came again, louder, closer. From upstairs, the faint sound of dragging footsteps approached. They realized one terrifying truth. They were not alone. The road stretched endlessly, dark and empty, with only their van's headlights cutting through the night. The encounter with the faceless figure haunted everyone's thoughts. The friends were quieter now, laughter had vanished, replaced with unease. Let's stop at the next place, Lena finally said. Her voice trembled, but she tried to sound normal. Mike pointed ahead, an old gas station, abandoned for years, its rusted sign swinging in the wind. The van rolled to a stop. The building looked like a scene from a horror movie, shattered windows, peeling paint, graffiti scrawled across every surface. A gust of wind rattled the broken gas pumps outside. Just quick stretch, Sam muttered. But no one felt quick or safe. They stepped out, flashlights in hand. Dust and debris swirled in the cold night air. The smell of decay was heavy, almost tangible. As they approached the main door, a soft tapping echoed from the back. Mike aimed his flashlight toward the source. Nothing. A shadow flickered across the wall. Jess swallowed hard. Guys, maybe we should just go. But curiosity held them there. Slowly, they pushed open the door. Inside, the station was frozen in time. Empty shelves, broken furniture, and papers scattered across the floor. A small office at the back caught Lena's attention. The door was slightly ajar. Then came the whisper. Soft, chilling, unmistakable. "Get out!" Jess screamed and stumbled back into Sam, knocking over a chair. Mike shone his flashlight inside the office. Empty. But the temperature dropped, a cold draft brushing against their necks as if invisible eyes were watching. "Something is here," Lena whispered. Sam tried to laugh, but it sounded hollow. They moved toward the exit, the tapping continuing, faster now, echoing like footsteps. As they reached the van, a sudden movement outside made them freeze. A tall, dark figure stood beneath the broken gas station sign. Motionless, staring. No one dared blink. No one dared move. And then, it disappeared. Inside the van, they tried to shake off the fear. But the unease lingered, crawling into their minds. Something had followed them, or perhaps it was waiting, patient, watching from the darkness of the abandoned highway. The gas station faded behind them, but the memory, the tapping, the whisper, the shadow, would haunt them long after the van's engine died. The night stretched ahead, long and unforgiving. And the abandoned road held more secrets than they could ever imagine. The van rolled slowly past the gas station, the memory of the shadowy figure still fresh in their minds. The friends were quiet, each lost in their own thoughts. Every rustle of leaves or distant howl made them jump. "Okay, the first abandoned house is just up ahead," Lena said, trying to sound confident. Her voice trembled slightly, betraying her fear. Mike let out a nervous laugh. "Let's just get this over with. Snap some pics, freak ourselves out, then get back on the road." The house appeared at the end of a narrow dirt road. A decaying Victorian mansion, its roof partially caved in, windows boarded up with splintered wood, graffiti smeared across the walls. The forest pressed in tightly on all sides, shadows pooling like liquid darkness. The first step onto the creaking porch made Jess flinch. "Seriously, why do these places always smell like death?" she whispered. Mike shrugged. "It's just old. Dust and rot. Relax." But the air felt heavier here. Every step made the floorboards groan as if the house were complaining. A cold breeze cut through the broken windows, carrying faint whispers that none of them could place. Sam led the way to the front door. He pushed it open slowly. It groaned loudly, echoing through the empty halls. Inside, the mansion was frozen in time. Tattered curtains, shattered furniture, and the faint smell of mildew. Old photographs lined the walls, faces faded, eyes dark and hollow. Lena shone her flashlight down a hallway. The beam caught something, a door slightly ajar at the end of the hall. It was darker than the rest of the house, the shadows thicker, almost pulsating. "Maybe it's nothing," Mike said, but his voice lacked conviction. A soft, scraping sound echoed from the room. Jess grabbed Lena's arm. "We should go." But curiosity, the same curiosity that had led them here, pulled them closer. The door creaked open. Inside, the room was empty. Broken chairs, shattered glass, and a thick layer of dust covered everything. And yet, footsteps echoed softly, coming from the corner of the room. They froze. No one moved. A whisper, low and raspy, floated across the room. "Get out." The group backed toward the hallway, but the air grew colder. The whispering continued, growing louder, almost surrounding them. Jess's flashlight flickered and went out. Mike slammed his hands on it, trying to get it back on, but only darkness remained. A shadow moved across the wall, fast, unnatural. It stopped as if watching them, waiting. Their hearts raced. Sam grabbed Jess's hand. "We're leaving. Now." As they ran toward the exit, the sound of dragging furniture echoed behind them. The front door slammed shut on its own, trapping them for a moment in the suffocating darkness. Then, finally, it swung open, and they sprinted outside, gasping for air. The abandoned house loomed behind them like a predator. Its broken windows glared, the forest surrounding it like a cage. They knew, even as they jumped back into the van, that something had been inside with them, watching, waiting. The van sped down the dark forest road, leaving the first abandoned house behind. The friends were silent, their nerves frayed. Every rustle of leaves, every distant howl seemed amplified in the night. "We should probably turn back," Jess whispered. But Lena shook her head. "We're so close, there's one more house we wanted to check. Just a quick look." Mike reluctantly agreed, though his hands still trembled on the steering wheel. The second house appeared at the end of a dirt lane, even more decrepit than the first. Its roof sagged dangerously, windows shattered, and an iron gate hung on broken hinges. The surrounding forest seemed to lean in, as if to warn them away. "This one looks alive," Sam muttered. The group stepped out of the van, flashlights cutting through the fog. The air was colder here, thick with the smell of damp wood and rot. Every step toward the gate made it creak ominously, echoing through the empty night. The front door was slightly ajar. A faint scratching noise came from inside, like fingernails on wood. Lena's stomach churned. "Maybe this is a bad idea." Mike forced a laugh. "It's just old wood, let's see the inside and leave." They entered carefully, flashlights scanning the dark interior. Broken furniture littered the floor, graffiti covered the walls, and shattered glass glimmered in the weak light. The ceiling sagged in places, dust falling in small clouds with every step. Jess froze suddenly. "Guys, did you see that?" A shadow darted across the far wall, faster than any human could move. "No," Sam said shakily. "We're imagining things. Focus." But the house had a presence. A cold, oppressive force that seemed to follow their every move. Doors slammed shut on their own, leaving them in darkness for brief, heart-stopping seconds. Footsteps echoed upstairs, though no one dared climb the stairs. Lena found a staircase leading to the basement. The air grew colder as they descended. The beam of the flashlight illuminated old crates, broken chairs, and a faint pool of water reflecting dim light. Then came the whispers, low, urgent, almost angry. "Go, leave, never return." The group huddled together. Every instinct screamed to run. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed from upstairs, followed by the sound of dragging footsteps, fast, heavy, impossible to ignore. Jess screamed, "We're done. Run." They bolted up the stairs and toward the exit. As they burst into the night, the forest seemed to swallow them. The house loomed behind them, silent again, but the sense of being watched never left. Even in the van, driving away, the friends knew. Whatever lived in that house, it wasn't human. It had been waiting, patient and silent, and it had let them leave, this time. The van rolled down the empty highway, the forest pressing in on both sides. The friends were silent, drained by fear, adrenaline still racing in their veins. Every shadow along the roadside seemed alive, every crackle of leaves sounded like footsteps. Lena finally broke the silence. "We need to get out of here. This road, it's not normal." Mike nodded, gripping the wheel tight. "I know, but the GPS says the next town is still 30 minutes away." Jess shivered, hugging herself. "I don't think we're going to make it, something's following us." Suddenly, the van's headlights illuminated a figure standing in the middle of the road. Tall, thin, motionless. A coat fluttering in the wind. Sam slammed on the brakes, tires squealing. The figure didn't move, didn't blink. Then it vanished. The friends stared at the empty road, hearts pounding. Lena whispered, "It's the same figure from before." Mike swallowed hard. "It's been following us this whole time." The next stop was an old rest area, long abandoned. A few gas pumps, a broken picnic table, overgrown weeds. They hoped to stretch their legs, to calm down. But the moment they stepped out, the wind seemed to carry whispers, unintelligible but urgent. Jess froze. "Guys, it's like it's calling us." Suddenly, a loud bang echoed from the nearby forest. Something moved among the trees, fast, dark, and enormous. The friends ran back to the van, slamming the doors shut. The engine roared to life, but the van shook violently. A shadow passed across the windshield, vanishing into the darkness. Mike swerved to avoid it, tires skidding over gravel. "Drive! Don't stop!" Lena screamed. Minutes felt like hours. Every turn, every dip in the road seemed to stretch the night endlessly. And then, they saw another abandoned house, looming silently at the edge of the forest. Against their better judgment, curiosity and fear intertwined, pulling them closer. The house was worse than the previous two. Windows smashed, doors hanging off hinges, rusted furniture spilling out, and a faint light flickering inside, almost like a candle. Jess whimpered, "We shouldn't go in." Sam nodded. "But we need answers. We need to know what's been following us." They stepped inside. The air was thick and cold. Shadows danced along the walls. The floorboards groaned under their weight. Then came the sound, slow, dragging footsteps circling them. A whisper in unison, surrounding them. "Get, we've never come back." The friends bolted for the exit. Doors slammed, windows rattled, shadows swirled around them like living smoke. They jumped into the van, engine roaring, and sped down the road. Even as the first town lights appeared in the distance, the feeling of being watched never left them. Every rearview mirror glance suggested another shadow, another figure. And deep down, they knew the road, the abandoned houses, and the darkness had marked them. The horror of that night would never leave them. A road trip that began with fun and adventure had turned into a nightmare they would never escape. The first hints of dawn crept over the horizon as the van finally rolled into the nearest town. The forest behind them seemed endless, its shadows still clinging to the edges of their vision. Silence filled the van, broken only by heavy breaths and the occasional sob from Jess. "We made it," Sam whispered, voice shaking. But no one felt safe. Every noise outside the van, a distant bark, the rustle of wind, felt like the shadow from the road trip was still there, watching. The friends pulled into a small diner, seeking comfort in lights, warmth, and other people. But even surrounded by strangers, the memory of the night lingered. Each of them recounted what they had seen: the faceless figure, the whispers, the dragging footsteps, the abandoned houses. It became clear, whatever followed them was real. Later, Lena checked the photos they had taken. At first, they were normal, the usual snapshots of empty buildings and forests. But one photo froze her blood. In the corner of the frame, barely visible, was a shadowy figure, staring directly at them, smiling. Mike's hands shook as he looked at the screen. We weren't imagining it. It was there the whole time. Days passed. The van was parked in Sam's garage, but every night, the friends swore they could see shadows moving past the windows, even in broad daylight. The houses, the road, the faceless figure, they had left a mark, a permanent imprint of fear on their minds. Jess finally whispered one night, "I don't think it will ever leave us. It's part of the road now, part of us." And she was right. Somewhere along that abandoned highway, in those ruined houses, a presence had chosen to follow them. Patient, unseen, waiting for the next traveler to stumble onto the road. They survived. But the fear never left. The story of that road trip would remain a warning. Curiosity in the wrong place at the wrong time can awaken something you can never outrun. If you enjoyed this terrifying road trip story, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We share real horror stories, abandoned places, and chilling encounters every week. Watch more if you dare, because the next story might be closer than you think.